Am I in? Hello, everybody. Oh, I need my glasses. You have my old man glasses over there?
I tried to get everything for you.
I know. And you did good. Let's see. 34 people. Holy cow. Well, thank you. And it's not technically my birthday. My birthday's on Monday, right?
Yeah.
But my live stream's on Friday, so this is my birthday party.
It's your birthday weekend.
Happy birthday, Cody. Birthday weekend extended weekend.
Yeah. Well, you can't have a birthday weekend after your birthday. It has to be.
That's true. We can't do it before, but I'm going to eat cake tonight.
You're going to have a post-World Championship
Hello.
weekend next weekend.
A post-World Championship?
Yeah. Right?
Post-World Championship what?
Weekend.
Yes.
Next weekend. So this weekend is
That's
your
true.
birthday.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. This will be the World Championship. Holy cow. It's warm in here. But if we turn the AC on, it's so loud. Yeah. And I'm going to be sneezing the whole time. You'll be 51 on Thursday. Sweet. It's over. Take it from someone 52. It's over at 51. Sorry to spoil. Sup? And it's your birthday today, Anders? And let me guess, Anders, from Sweden? Anders, let me know which country you're from. I'm going to go Sweden, but we'll see. Yep. Hey. So just so everybody knows, it gets worse if you're like, yeah, you're 60.
As long as you're alive, you can't complain.
Yeah. Well, no. When you're alive, you can complain. When you're no longer alive, you can't complain.
Then you're
unable to complain.
Unable to doesn't mean you can't.
Right. No, what you could do, if you know you're going to die, you send out a message, you type out a message complaining about something, and then you schedule it to be sent after you're dead.
Yeah.
Therefore, you can complain after you're dead, thanks to modern technology.
Yeah, and you can schedule Facebook posts and everything, so you can be alive for far longer.
Wait a second, how long can we schedule Facebook posts in advance? Because if I know I'm going to die, I'll schedule content for weeks or months afterwards just to creep everybody out.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm totally going to do that. Y'all don't tell anybody. If it's over 51, how are you at 54? I don't know. I'm going to be 53, so I can't tell you. Maybe 54 is awesome. Maybe 54 is better than 28 for all we know. I ain't complaining. I'm not complaining about getting old. I'm just...
You haven't lived till you're 69.
What?
69.
Yeah.
That's when you're truly alive.
Yeah, right? I was born in 69. No, I'm working on it. So I appreciate everybody coming by. So I'm going to tell everybody in advance, I was up half the night sneezing and runny nose. And I feel kind of like garbage. And this morning I woke up, and the first thing I did is I took a test and it came out negative. And I'm hopeful because I had this thing a few months ago, which is fairly recently, to get it again. And when I did it last time, I took tests for 3 days in a row after I felt not well, tested positive on the third day. So I'm hopeful that it's just allergies. I mean, it did start right when I got to town, so that kind of makes it possible for it to be allergies. So I'm hoping. So we'll know tomorrow. I would hate to get sick right before Worlds, with me, gonna win it all. How's everybody doing? Is anybody here at... What's up, Mr. Haran Venturelli? What up, man? I hope everybody's having a good everything. Oh, I'm glad you liked my book. Yeah, wait till you see. I wrote the next book. Well, the first draft is done, which means it's still at least a year away from coming out. But that's the bad years. When I left disc golf, which I'm not good when I leave disc golf. I don't do as well in the real world as I do in the disc golf world. So that book is going to be... well, there's some ups. There's some ups and downs, and I don't hold anything back. I share all the downs very honestly, very openly. I think you'll enjoy it, but the next book is a different tone. as opposed to the first one. But that's the story, right? And plus, I need to write 3 books because when I get them turned into a movie, I want 3 movies like Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, not 1 movie like Princess Bride. No, 1 movie like Princess Bride would. I'd settle for 1 Princess Bride. All right. So I said I was going to celebrate my birthday. Will you help me get the cake set up? Started in the fridge, remember?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm doing cake tonight for the first time in a year. Who's going to play me in the movie? Well, as of right now, it's Gannon Burr. But he may age out because I need somebody that can play teenage Scott and 20-something Scott while we're touring. Let me have everything ready to go, and then I'll.
I thought you were gonna start.
No, I am, but I'm gonna have everything ready to go. So when I
do you want me to open these for you?
Yeah, I'm going to put these 2 in for this and one. Yeah. So, anyways, but I think we have our investor for the initial seed money to make the movie. I'm not joking about this. So my end goal in my disc golf career right now is I want my life story told in a Broadway musical, kind of like Hamilton, except way more important than the American Revolution. It's about disc golf. And I want a Broadway musical made about my life. And I thought about 5 years ago, the best way to get a Broadway musical made about my life was to make a movie about my life. That would come first. Well, how do you get a movie made? Well, the best way to get a movie made is to write a book. So I actually wrote my book with a Broadway musical in mind. So we're not even close to that yet, but I think we got the seed money for the movie. And then after that, well, heck, if the movie's successful, I can fund the musical myself. I don't care if I lose money on it. I just want a Broadway musical about my life. That's it. Not off Broadway either, like real Broadway. All right, I'm getting ready to eat my cake. I have not eaten cake in a year.
What's this one for?
Because this goes on one, this goes on the other. No, this goes on one, and that goes on the other.
Oh, okay. Obviously, I'm not the math person in our.
Right. You'll see. And thank you for all the happy birthday. Scott Stokely the musical, although I want to go Stokely the musical because that sounds more like Hamilton. I know, I'm such a nerd. But I'm a Broadway nerd. And you know what's funny thing too is I've grown up like old school hardcore punk rock my entire life until I got turned on to Broadway musicals about 10 years ago. And I went kicking and screaming. In my defense, I got dragged to go see Hairspray. Like, why would anybody go see this? It's the last thing on my radar that I wanted to go do. And I sat there watching Hairspray like this. Oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Oh my God, this is so cool. Have I not? And then I went down the rabbit hole of like everything from Hair to Oklahoma to Les Mis and was like, holy crap, this stuff's amazing. So I haven't lost my punk rock roots, but
you're also a little bit nerdy.
I'm a nerd. What can I say? Thank you for the happy birthdays. The hills are live with the sound of chains banging. Yeah, Me First and the Gimme Gimmes covered a song. Favorite things from that. If anybody knows Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, but they covered a song from Sound of Music. Hello, Daddy Daughter Disc Golf. Let's see. You got conned into going to see cleavage, but not knowing it meant a. I didn't see Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
I didn't know that was a musical.
I didn't know it was a musical either. I know there's Hannibal the musical about Hannibal Lecter. I've listened to the soundtrack. It's pretty funny. But no, that was the last thing we watched. We watched Hair, like the 1970s movie, which is freaking awesome. Actually, this Hair is one of the few. I'm going to start losing people talking about musicals too much, but Hair is one of those rare ones where I've seen. It was like a Tony Award-winning musical, Hair, and I've seen it, and I saw it once, and I thought it was fantastic. I like the movie more, which is, I know it's sacrilege. You're not supposed to like say you like the movie version of the musical more, but I did like.
I think before I met you,
I thought it was a better story.
The only musical I had watched was Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Rocky Horror Picture Show, yeah. Well, I've seen Rocky Horror Picture Show like a dozen times. We used to go to the show in Los Angeles. All right, so here we go. So ready? I'm gonna eat cake for the first time in a year. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go big, y'all. All right, here we go. Here goes nothing. Premier Protein, birthday cake flavored, 30 grams of protein, only 1 gram of carbs, 160 calories, tons of vitamins on the back, and I'm gonna just pretend that they're good for me. There, now I've eaten my birthday cake. Everybody says no. I'm totally kidding, y'all. I am going to drink this. That's not my birthday cake. Here's my birthday cake, my actual real birthday cake. Let's see. That's my birthday cake. And by the way, I went to the store to get my birthday cake, and they ran out of 5s. So I couldn't do a 5 because I'm going to be 53. By the way, this could potentially look incredibly lonely. Just some old dude sitting in front of his camera, like throwing a birthday party all by himself. Well, I mean, you're here. So not really by myself. But there's my 43rd birthday, even though I'm 53. But then I also got this too for the other 10. I found an excuse to eat 2 pieces of cake. What do you think about that?
I think you're sneaky and conniving.
And I'll probably make myself throw.
But that's like also
smart.
Yeah, that was the word I was looking for.
Oh, we got to get a picture of these two. We get a picture to post.
Well, you gotta light the other one.
Oh, I gotta light the other one. Oh,
and
no.
hold them.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. I gotta take a picture before I eat the cake. For all those people that didn't come to my party, which I should be like, forget them, but I can't do it. All right, so here we go. Here's the picture for my birthday. I'm gonna be eating wax. I told you this is bad content. Like this is dead time.
Okay, one more without them. All right, I got it.
You got them?
Yep.
Okay. I hope my birthday wishes come true. I want world peace, and I want an end to genocide, and I want to win worlds. But mostly the first 2, because I'm deep.
I thought you were tall. Is it the same thing?
I think it's the same thing.
Oh, okay.
I know. Every time, I don't know why I've done this probably for the past 5 years, but every single time someone says something about like, oh, I hate something. They're like, oh, I hate the traffic, or I hate layovers, or I hate, ingrown toenails. I don't know, whatever. My response is always, yeah, well, I hate genocide because I'm way deeper than you. I've been saying that for like 10 years. It was maybe funny the first time. But I've laughed every single time. All right, we got people writing in. And by the way, like I told everybody earlier, I was up all night. My nose won't stop running. I woke up this morning. I couldn't stop sneezing. So I'm gonna have to. You see me ducking down to blow my nose. I'm so sorry, but it's a live stream that's been advertised. I can't just cancel it. So if I'm sniffling and that's gross, I'm sorry. That's gross. What are you gonna do? What disc golf or disc related item am I hoping to get? Oh, this is actually a great question, because I'm gonna go really deep here, and I'm gonna virtue signal. How about that? Yeah, that's stuff that I hate, even though I'm not quite sure what it means, but I know I don't like the way it sounds, but I'm gonna do it anyways. When we took off 2.5 years ago to travel, we took every single thing we owned that we couldn't fit into at the time, our car, and we gave it away or we threw it away. And we took off with a suitcase that we shared with our clothing, my golf bag, 2 laptops, a couple books. Like, that's it. Like, we don't have a storage unit or anything. We got rid of anything. So I don't want anything except experiences. So I actually don't want a thing. That's it. If I could have anything for my birthday that wasn't a tangible, perishable item, I would say I want everybody out there over the age of 40 to reevaluate if you're slowing down and figure out how to not slow down, because you don't have to live your age. You don't have to live the age that you're told you're supposed to live. You got to take care of your physical health. You got to take care of your mental health. I mean, there's more to it than just like, oh, I don't feel this age. But if me getting older and like still living this life inspires people to not think that they're old or that they need to slow down, that's my present. How about that? I know that kind of sounds like all high and mighty. I didn't mean it to come across smarmy, but it's kind of what matters to me. Who can we donate to for your birthday? I don't take donations for any of the special needs stuff I want. I mean, I always tell everybody when it comes to like all the special needs is I don't care who you donate to, but if you're going to donate to smaller organizations. Like, I think these big, massive, like national organizations, charities are fantastic. They lobby Washington. They do like so many big picture things, but your $100 donation is invisible to them. But you find an assisted living community, or you find a school for kids who are blind or who have Down syndrome, and you send them $100, like they will literally get this $100 check and be like, oh my God, we can now buy that thing for the classroom that we couldn't afford until this check came in. And I always think that if you donate locally, those small donations matter. So I don't care who you donate to, but if I had my choice, I would say somebody small. That's why I pick a different. I mean, it's more work, but that's why when I travel and I donate my prize money every tournament, I always pick a local organization. I don't just go, well, Autism Speaks. I'm playing for Autism Speaks this year. Like it'd be easier. And I might even get some promotional value out of it because I'm sure they would write articles and promote me and stuff like that. But Autism Speaks doesn't need my money. But the Hetlinger Autism Center here in Emporia, Kansas, who all my World Championships winnings are going to go to, like they do need my money. So anyways.
And they got money at DDO this year and last.
Yeah, last year I got second place at Dynamic Disc Open. I won $900 and I sent them. Well, they got all of it. It actually was sent directly to them, like $900 something bucks. And this year at Dynamic Disc Open in the Open division, I won like what, 500? Yeah, I think 5 or 600 or something like that. But I have an anonymous donor matching the donation, so they got $1,100 from me from the DDO, and they like that actually, like I said, it matters. So small organization, $1,100 is like a windfall. Let's see. Just came from your backhand throw video. Went outside, ripped a few, or they were consistently some of the flattest that you've thrown. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. Yeah, I'm very proud of how I teach. The way I teach is like it works. Okay. Well, first off, thank you. I'm not going to turn down when people make donations, like and I'm not looking for donations. This isn't a backhanded, whatever. But when people do, like when I do these live streams and they post, if you feel like you're being entertained and you feel like my videos have helped you and you want to like pay for that, like I don't turn it away. Obviously it's my job, but it's always appreciated. My thoughts, people, one finger grip to forehand, like they're losing distance. Me, maybe not. Okay, so here's the deal with grip. First off, and I won't go into the whole thing on grip, but grip is always individual. Your hand determines your grip, not you. There is no such thing as a correct grip that everybody's supposed to use. They never will be in disc golf. So if you cannot get a clean and consistent release using 2 fingers on the rim, but you can with one, then throw with one. Now, if you can get a clean, consistent release with 2 fingers or one finger, use two, because two fingers, when the disc is accelerating forward, is stronger than one. So it is going to be slightly stronger. Now, here's the thing about one finger grip, though. Some people, I even recommend doing a one finger grip too, and I'll show you why. You have to intentionally and deliberately spin the disc when you throw sidearm. At the point of release, your wrist is going to spin the disc. You're actually going to use your wrist to spin it. If you lack mobility, meaning if you cock your wrist back and it doesn't go back very far, whether you have an injury or maybe you're older or just not flexible, but that wrist doesn't go far back, you're going to have a hard time spinning the disc from back here. Well, one of the things you can do to add mobility is with two fingers. That only goes back to here, right? That's how far I can bend this. But without moving my wrist at all, if I take the middle finger off and just use the index finger, without moving my wrist, I can get that much more mobility, which allows me to spin the disc more. So it's actually, I for years I taught that it was okay to throw with one finger if you couldn't get a good release with two, but I never recommended it. In the last year, I realized that I will actually recommend a one finger grip if you lack wrist mobility. So yeah, nothing wrong with one finger. Oh yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, happy birthday to me. Thank you. It's so funny. You're so used to like returning when someone's like says something nice, like they say happy birthday. I want to be like, oh, thanks, man. Happy birthday to you too. Just out of habit. What's your craziest birthday disc golf round? I don't think I can think of one. Have I ever? Where was I last year?
Last year for your birthday?
I don't remember what I was doing. I think I passed the age. Like, I know when I was a kid, like, I had to go. I was obviously on the course on my birthday, but I was on the course every single day of the week. But now it's, I mean.
I know where the year before.
Where?
The top of Horsetooth Rock.
Oh, that's right. But I didn't golf that day. I climbed the top of Horsetooth Rock with Adriana and my daughter. So, yeah, I can't think of one. How's that for a lame answer? Oh, hey, let me go ahead and pitch something. If y'all are interested, I have signed Tour Series Harps, signed Tour Series Marbles, signed Tour Series Bergs, and I may or may not have signed harps, but I definitely what? Regular harps, but I have signed Wizards, and I didn't bring one up. I forgot to bring one up. If you go to scottstokely.net, those are available through the store, and you can also find the coolest disc golf shirts ever. This is the Stokely Universe shirts, full color jerseys from Zone Sporting Goods, but you can get to it through my site. I got more stuff too, but I won't pitch every single thing I'm selling. Your oldest is 5 and has Down syndrome. My youngest is 2. What is a good age to take into the course in your experience? Tomorrow. Did you see the video I posted? I played around a golf with a club in Geneva, New York, just 2 weeks ago called the Down Syndrome Disc Buddies. And it's a club made up of young adults who all have Down syndrome, who all play disc golf. And when I say they play disc golf, every one of them has a bag. Every one of them has a handful of discs. Every one of them is putting putters when they're putting and throwing drivers on drives. They're disc golfers, and they have a club, and they get together. And they got of course, they've got wonderful parents to take them out, but they're not babysitting them. These are just young men playing disc golf. They understand the game. They understand how to throw. I didn't really even teach them much in terms of technique. As far as what age, that's always going to be an individual question based on your child, obviously. But here's the thing about disc golf. It's the most adaptive sport in the entire world. So he's 5 and has Down syndrome, right? You don't have to play regular holes. You can play a 40-foot hole, right? If that's still disc golf, you start, you throw the plastic object towards the metal thing. That's the goal. And after you throw, you advance to the lie, you pick it up, you throw again, you advance to the lie. It ends with you striking the chains, put it in the basket. It's adaptive. So if you play a 50-foot hole, that is every bit the same disc golf as me playing a 1,000-foot hole, right? There's no rule that says disc golf are holes this long. disc golf requires this many obstacles, right? It's not the way it works. So I believe personally you can bring him out anytime. One thing I will tell you, and I'm not trying to act like I know more than I do about how you should raise your kid, because you're going to have lots of experiences and challenges. Obviously, I'm sure obviously you know this. But one thing I've learned is at some point start keeping score. This is just like, maybe it's a pet peeve of mine, but when I teach my classes, and I've taught 284 classes in basically 284 cities, and we keep score. We never just go out and putt, because that's not disc golf. Disc golf is measuring how well you do with a number. And it doesn't matter what that number is, because with maybe a few exceptions out of all these classes, everybody understands a lower number is better. And if they play another hole, they want to get lower than the hole before it. And don't even discount your son playing against other kids in his class and keeping score against them, because that is what sports is. So my one thing I would say is, I got a pet peeve against oversimplifying the sport and not letting it be the sport. Your kid's going to want to keep score. If you tell him that keeping score is important and these numbers matter, and you tell him what he scored last time, then he's got a goal to shoot for, and that's important. Just my opinion. And again, I'm speaking like 98% ignorant, so take it with a grain of salt. Who's the smallest guy in disc golf that you put $1,000 on for a long drive? I mean, obviously, like Emerson Keith is probably the biggest exception as far as someone who's shorter who smashes. But nobody who's small is going to win the long drive competition. And by long drive, I mean an actual distance competition. It's just physics. It's like Emerson Keith has great technique, but somebody 6'4" with equal technique, all things being equal, the taller person's going to throw farther. Again, it's just physics. I mean, in disc golf, you don't need to be tall to be successful. Paul Macbeth's not tall. You don't need to be tall to throw far enough. Someone 5'4", a guy 5'4" can still throw 550 feet, and a 5'4" woman can still get up to over 400 feet. And I'm not trying to put a ceiling on anybody, but that's far enough. So there's no limit to that. But when it comes to actual just maximum distance, it's going to be someone taller, always.
Have you ever done a tutorial about actual distance throwing?
Mm-mm.
Because it's a whole different set of techniques, isn't it?
Yeah, actual distance throwing is totally different. Yeah. Because when I was like the distance person in the 90s, when I was setting all the world records and I was winning world titles, national titles, there was a period of time where I was the #1 distance thrower in the world, for sure. Out at disc golf tournaments, I threw 100 to 150 feet farther than the next farthest thrower out there. And that's with speed 6 discs. So if these have been speed 13 discs, we're talking that's probably 200 feet farther than the second farthest thrower. That's the gap between me and the second farthest disc golfer on tour. But there wasn't that big of a gap between me and the other distance throwers, because Tomax Ekstrom and Nicolas Bergaham and Peter Albers and Jack Cooksey, you don't know these people. Christian Voigt, Christian Sandstrom, they all threw as far as me. I mean, I think I was on top, but these were all peers where any one of us could have won on any given weekend, for sure. But they weren't on the pro tour, so you don't know them. And that's because distance throwing is different than golf throwing. It's just that there's different mechanics involved. It's a different type of throw. It's very much less controllable, but it flies farther. It's not a golf shot. You just finished watching the Celebrity Pro-Am Funky Farms. Is Ben Askren as cool a person as he seems? No, he's cooler. Ben, this was our takeaway from Ben. I've always thought he's a great guy. He's super smart. I've been an MMA fan, hardcore MMA. I fought for years. I never competed, but I trained for about 8 years. So, I mean, I love the sport and sparring and rolling with people. And Ben Askren's like next to Chael Sonnen and maybe Connor's probably like the third best trash talker in the history of the sport. It's so smart and clever. I love the guy. Very honest too. Just a real straight, honest, straight up guy. But that doesn't mean I knew him in person, because that's people's public persona. You know, sometimes you're disappointed when you meet him. Our takeaway, and correct me if I'm wrong, Adriana, on this, because we went out there the day before the event and spent time and shot some holes with Ben. We went out there the day after event, and I worked on Ben's sidearm. Ben runs his family basically how I think a person's supposed to run their family.
Yeah.
And but don't misinterpret the word run the family in some weird, like, quote me way. I just mean he's got, his wife is super just amazing and supportive of everything he's doing. Where there's no drama, there's no anxiety. You know, here's Ben bringing this thing into their home. Next thing you know, you got 40 people there. We are all going in and out of their beautiful house to use the bathroom. He's got a couple of kids that he dotes over them. Amazing. But the kids knew exactly when to kind of step back and not be, you know, this is not the time to be the center of attention. This is something that they learned early, and it's a top-down thing. And I love just the vibe. He's built this house. Basically, he's given his kids a place to be kids. You know, he goes out, like, I guarantee they run around outside and they're in bare feet, and he never yells at them to put their shoes on because they might hurt themselves. He probably lets them hurt themselves because they're kids, and it's fine to get hurt when you're a kid playing in the yard, right?
Yeah, we did totally find like random shoes.
Yeah, there was like, we would find shoes on the course, like kids' shoes on the course that they must have like just took off and left there.
Yeah.
I don't even know how else to describe it, except when you watch it, you're like, that's like, these kids are gonna like they're gonna turn out fantastic because of Ben and his wife. They were that amazing. I couldn't speak any higher of him. And this isn't for Ben's benefit. It's a private stream. He's not watching. I couldn't say more nice things about him and his wife.
Maybe he's watching. You don't know.
Have I met Randon Lada? I met him at Ledgestone. He's such a nice guy. We've been chatting on Instagram every day since. Have I met Randon? Yes. Okay. So Randon is one of the breakout stars of the year. Randon with the hat, right?
Mm-hmm. So
you remember that kind of hat that he wore that looked like I think like a Payne Stewart hat, maybe something out of like the 40s. I don't know how to.
It's a newsboy kind
of. It's like an old newsboy hat, and I'm real into the business side, especially branding and self-promotion. Y'all might have noticed I promote myself a little bit, but I'm also really good at it from the business side. And he shows up in that like, kind of old newsboy hat, and I just instantly messaged him. I'm like, dude, you need to never be seen on a disc golf course not wearing that hat. Like, you just nailed something that's you. Nobody's wearing that hat, but it's not weird. It's like, it looks really sharp. It looks really like stylish, and like, I don't know, he just rocks it. And so for like the first 2 tournaments, I actually messaged him every morning. He'll tell you this. I messaged him every morning before the tournament. You make sure you're wearing the hat today. Because I'm like, this is an opportunity. Basically, here's where it is. This is like random. Fans are going to pull into the parking lot. They're going to see golfers 3 holes away, and they're going to recognize you. Like, do you know like how much money it costs if you were trying to hire someone to promote you in a way where people recognize you from 200 yards away? And you got it for like a $3 hat at the Goodwill. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love Randon, and he's like that. Yeah, so that's much I know Randon. I was messaging him every single day going, don't you dare never wear that hat again. And then, of course, I told him he needs to start selling them. Get his logo on them and start selling them. Craziest throw I made by mistake, but it came out in my favor. Okay, I was leading. No, I was tied going into the final hole of the Texas State Championships. I was tied against Barry Schultz. It's not that I made it by mistake, but it was a mistake. We're tied going into the last hole. It's like 900 feet. But remember, we got speed like 6 discs. But it went downhill for like the first 50 feet. It went flat. So 900 footer probably played like 800 or something like that. It was still a legit par 4. And there was an OB all the way down the left side of the hole. It was a road, a park road. And of course, across the road was OB. But it's Texas. So the grass, it was safe. It went straight to the road and straight to the grass on the other side, but there were no curves or ups and downs. So it's pretty much flat. It was just like if you throw a roller, it's the disc on grass or it's on road, but it's basically the same surface. And I tried throwing this massive distance throw, like we talked about earlier, that hard to control, this massive anhyzer, because the wind's blowing this direction, right? And I'm throwing that way. Huge anhyzer that was supposed to like fly plane out. It's supposed to fly like 600 feet. Then it's going to have a 300-foot approach shot for the win. And instead, I threw it. I didn't turn it over. It faded left, and it just landed about 700, well, between 600 and 700 feet short of the hole. It basically went about 300 feet because when you throw the big anhyzer, if it doesn't turn, it just goes straight back and it falls. And we had a massive left to right wind blowing this way. And I threw a roller. I threw a Stratus roller, but the only way to throw it was I had to land the disc on the out of bounds side of the road. It had to roll like, honest to God, like 500 and something feet out of bounds. And then right when it was running out of spin at the end, it turned right and rolled about 150 right. And I put it like 3 feet from the basket. And it was probably the craziest bad shot ever, because here's the thing. This true story. It was like the biggest compliment I ever got. I got it from everybody at the tournament because people were walking up to me going, dude, that first shot, I thought you threw a bad shot, but I didn't realize that was like position golf. Like you played it over there on purpose so you could have this shot. And everybody thought that that first shot was on purpose. Like it was a ridiculously horrible shot. And I was like, what bigger compliment can people give you than when you throw like the worst shot of the day? And they're like, oh, well, that must have been on purpose. I mean, clearly he didn't just throw a bad shot. So anyways, I
think that's the same kind of charge a magician gets, like when they pull off like a really great sleight of hand and they think, oh, well, that was the trick, right?
Right.
Like you meant to do that.
Yeah, everybody thought I meant to do it. And it was a crazy throw, but it came out of my favor, but it was a mistake because it was a terrible first throw. And everybody thought it was on purpose. Oh, by the way, just for the record, I didn't tell anybody that the first shot was on purpose. I was like, yeah. I waited until I wrote my autobiography. And when this one that's available at scottstokely.net, I wrote the story in this book about that. And I said, I got a confession to make everybody. That first shot wasn't on purpose. But I enjoyed letting people think that for like 20 years. How hard is the standstill side throw the Eagle did? It was like 400 feet from the bridge. Yeah, I mean, I threw it. I threw it about 30 feet short of his from there. It's hard, but sidearm's really an arm throw. I'll be honest. Like I mean, that was my first try, and I threw it like 400 feet from a standstill. It came a little bit short, but I threw a force. A force is not a distance disc; it's a meat hook. So like I could have thrown. I mean, if I got the angle right, I throw hard enough to throw well past that hole. It's really just it depends on how hard you throw. Like I can throw 400 feet from a standstill, but I throw far. Well, thank you. Hold on, wait a second. Let's see. I just saw something pop up. Oh, we'll get to it. You'll be 53 in 12 days. How do you throw so damn far? Take care. The first secret to getting good at disc golf is to be incredibly shallow. I spend a lot of my life doing nothing but this game. I dedicated my entire life to this one thing. And so I'm sure glad I got good at it, or else that would have been kind of a waste for not being balanced at life. Proper mechanics is everything. And as I've gotten older, like I've really begun taking care of my body, diet, exercise. I'll be at the gym again tomorrow night. I was at the gym 2 nights ago. I eat well. So it's it's a combination of all those things. Thank you, Amy Penguin. I think penguins are adorable. So
yeah.
Penguins are. We've seen a bunch of penguins in the last 2 years.
What's your favorite kind of penguin?
My favorite kind of penguins? Like, you mean as far as like emperor penguin or I don't know. They're all just so like dumb looking.
I like rock hoppers because they have the weird like feathers on the side.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I think penguins are cool. Like I saw March of the Penguins, and like all the other guys weren't. They wouldn't admit to liking it. They're like, "Oh, my girlfriend made me go." Like it was so stupid, and I'm like. By the way, this is only like 15 years ago. The guys weren't allowed to like penguins. The world's changed in 15 years. Like if you're younger, you don't even remember this. It was 15 years ago. Guys couldn't, like, you couldn't cry if your dog died. Like literally, if you cried because your dog died, like your friends would just give you endless crap over it. Like, and they would call you all sorts of names that you can't even say today without getting kicked off the air. Like that's how much has changed in 15 years. I love March of the Penguins. Well, pretty much anything Morgan Freeman narrates is going to be sick.
For sure.
Who's taller, Nico or Emerson? Nico, for sure. How tall is Wiggins? Actually, I don't know. No, I mean, it doesn't mean you can't throw far if you're not tall. It just means if somebody's 6 feet tall and somebody's 6'1" throw identical body, identical look, but the physics of being taller is just a longer lever, and you'll just throw farther. I mean, it's just physics, but that doesn't mean you can't throw far enough. I mean, think about like in ball golf. I mean, the people in the long drive competitions hit way farther than the people out on the pro tour. Every single person in the long drive competition would give their left arm to be on the pro tour. They would sacrifice however many yards of distance they can hit the ball if they could actually be on the PGA Tour. You don't need to throw max distance. Here's how far you need to throw. And I'm only speaking of MPO. I don't want to, FPO would have their own thing, but basically an MPO, you need to be able to throw about a 450-foot hyzer, meaning a control shot. Like you have OB, you have, you if you mess up, it's going to cost you. You need to be able to throw a really controllable 450, and then you need to be able to get it over 500 in situations. But over 500, you can give up some control to Anheuser flex shot. And right now I throw about 500 controlled 550 to 600 if I actually max it out. So I've got plenty of distance. But you don't need to have that much distance. I mean, the amount of times that comes into hand down the tours, a couple times around, there's a hole where that extra 50 feet. But I'll tell you this, though. What I did, I played really well in Des Moines. I finished 13 under. I shot 10-24 for the tournament, which is good for, an old guy. And when I was throwing the longest holes out there, I wasn't out driving the players on my card. We were all throwing about the same distance every round. However, we would have like OB down the right side of the fairway, and they were having to take something up and throw it with hyzer and get it flat. And they basically had to risk OB because if it turns over a little bit too much, it's gonna go out of bounds. I was throwing the same distance as them, but I didn't have to risk the out of bounds because I could just pop a straight hyzer the whole way. So I could have thrown 50 or 100 feet further than them, but getting the extra distance wasn't what I wanted. I just wanted to be on the fairway with zero risk of OB. So the extra distance helped, but not because I could throw farther. It's because it gave me a more controllable option for the same throw. But yeah, 450 controlled, 500 when you max it out is plenty of distance for the pro tour. If that's all you ever have, you could win worlds easily. Talk about dealing with distracting players on your card, like walking into field of vision when putting. fidgeting in field division when putting, or generally being obnoxious during the throws. So it's tough because in MA2, you know, the expectations for courtesy have to start pretty loose and improve as they go, because MA2 is still several divisions down. It's still an amateur division, and not even the highest level amateur division. It's not the technical rec division, but it's still a recreational division. And I think what you need to do when you're in those divisions, because you could, and this is the bad option, you could try to confront people and tell them what they do and give them warnings, but then next thing you know, then it's in your head, and then when they forget and do it again, it feels like they did it on purpose because you just talked to them, and plus now it's distracting you. And what if they're confrontational about it? I don't mean fighting, but what if they kind of argue about it, and then they say, well, I wasn't moving, but you saw them move. What are you going to do? Argue with them in the middle of the round? Even though you're right, you could be right on all those points, but it doesn't help your psyche. I think what you should do is view it as you're in the MA2 division. It's a more casual division. Technically, it shouldn't be. There's rules in play for courtesy, but that's not the reality of the situation. You have players that have been playing for 4 months in that division. Some people pick up the game fast. Lower your expectations. Don't expect them to do more, and just kind of accept that it's not going to be perfect. And I'll tell you what, one trick to that, and I'm going to sneeze first. Told you I got I think it's allergies, but
You're also playing doubles, so you can't take like something's gonna zap you.
Oh yeah, but I'm playing mixed doubles tomorrow with Danny Clyden, and so I won't take a Benadryl, even though I think it's allergies, because I think it'll mess me up tomorrow. So one of the tricks, I'll get to it. One of the tricks, I'm sorry, I gotta sneeze again. Yeah, I took a COVID test this morning. I don't have I'm negative still. So I don't think I'm sick. I think it's just allergies. So one of the things I will tell you is that usually those things don't bother you as much. I can't speak for you, but for most players at league night. At league night, someone in the group is on their phone, and someone in the group says, hey, do you care if we listen to music? Someone brings their dog with them. And it's like, hey, okay, that's cool. And they don't bother you as much at league night. Well, why? It's the same distractions. Well, it's you. It's up here. In your mind, you've accepted the fact that the dog's going to move around and there's going to be music on. And so you just kind of like, it doesn't bother you. You let it go. So if you put yourself into that situation at the tournament and say, look, I'm in MA2. When I get to MA1, it's going to be better. If I keep working to play pro, it's going to be way better. Like it gets better by division. And just kind of accept it, that's like, it's kind of like a sanctioned league night at MA2. I'll say one more thing. One of the things that I've wrote about this a lot or made videos about it. One of the tricks is when you're playing league night, never, ever, under any circumstance, ask someone to stop moving, ask someone to be quiet, ask someone not to bring their dog. Never wait for a car to drive by before you putt. Never, ever do anything to reduce distractions at league night. The more you get comfortable playing in environments where there's distractions, the easier it is to go play a tournament, because even a not very courteous tournament MA2 round is still more courteous than your average league night. Everybody's drinking, partying, having fun. So play with distractions and put yourself in the mindset, but you can't control them. I mean, without it hurting you worse. That was a really long answer. Sorry for the rambling. So if I had a distance driver you use now, how far would you have thrown when you set the record? You know, that's really hard to say, because I didn't have those discs to throw. I will tell you this. I had a record for the world's fastest throw at 91 miles an hour with that golf weight disc. I know Simon has thrown as fast as 89 miles an hour with a golf weight disc. I also know that, because I actually set that record. I was on ESPN2 when they had the radar gun and I set that record, 91 miles an hour. And again, I mean, I pulled a disc out of my golf bag and threw it. Simon and some other players have thrown like 110 gram discs, which are obviously, they don't fly as far, but they're easier to throw faster because they're lighter. I think they got up to like 95. But I was about 2 miles an hour faster at the highest end with a golf disc. So I would say, as far as Simon and Wigginstro, I mean, we were within a couple miles an hour of each other. So ballpark. By the way, I think I would throw farther. I think I would beat them. But they think they would beat me. And like, you can't get really good at something if you don't have that mindset. So yes, I think I would beat them in my prime. But I would be ashamed of them if they agreed with me. They should also feel that they would beat me when I was in my prime. And we'll never know. It's fun. Do you remember the Etchisons? No?
Hint. Tell him to give you a hint.
Yeah, throw me a hint. All right. 2 questions. I can't believe the donations come through. So thank you so much. What was your thoughts on the documentary, The Holy Shot? And are there hopes for new or older players, 26 to 36, to play at a high touring level, or is it too late in the game? Okay, 2 questions. So first off, The Holy Shot was the greatest shot in the history of disc golf, and it'll always be, because it'll become part of lore. And so even if a better shot happens someday, it'll always be compared to The Holy Shot. So that's like, it's etched in stone, greatest shot of all time. The fact that there's a documentary coming out is...
It's out.
Oh, it's out?
Yeah.
Oh, it already came out. Mm-hmm. Oh, we have to watch it. So it's actually kind of funny because there's a documentary about my skin shot that is done filming. That's in post-production right now. So there was actually a video documentary, or there is a documentary coming out about my shot as well. Totally different, everything about those two. There's a whole different my documentary is it's the year leading up to going out on tour, and it's just different. I love James Conrad. He's one of my favorite people in the world, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, and I'm glad he's getting the attention for it. As far as hopes for new or older players, 26 to 36, to play at a high touring level, or too late to the game, I would never put a ceiling on anybody. Like, there's just something very disgusting about telling someone what they can't do. That's probably most of us in here, but myself included. I mean, back when I started playing, it was like, you can't play disc golf for a living. It's like, the hell I can't. Don't you tell me what I can't do. You can't tour. There's no prize money. You can't do this. You can't run clinics and have people show up and learn to disc golf from me. You can't. What do you mean you're going to show up in town and run a doubles event? I mean, I did so many things that it's like I was told you can't do. And if I had listened to those people, I wouldn't be sitting here right now, right? So I would never tell anybody they can't do that. Having said that, I think it's an uphill battle. When you start older, it's just going to be harder. There's something about starting a sport as a child where your body develops into the sport you're playing that you rarely see exceptions of. Like, even now, like, I'm a huge mixed martial arts fan, and I think it's not going to be long before you'll probably never see a top mixed martial arts fighter that wasn't actually studying mixed martial arts when they were a kid. There's not going to be any of these, college wrestlers who graduate college when they're 21 and then take up boxing, and 2 years later they're doing MMA. Like, that's not going to happen anymore, because you're going to compete against a whole bunch of people that were doing Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu and boxing and wrestling from age 5. So I think it's tough. The one thing I'll tell you, though, here's the thing. When you want to talk about touring level, there's a misunderstanding, and I'm going to get preachy here for a second, but I'm going to lecture every one of you about this because you need to know this. There's a misunderstanding about what touring is, because some people mistakenly believe that the tour is the Disc Golf Pro Tour. It's not. You know what the Pro Tour is? if you want to be on the pro tour and you schedule PDGA tournaments and you travel to those tournaments, you're on the pro tour. Those are pro tour events. You know, I mean, those are professional disc golf events, and there's less competition. There's less stress. The money's not as good at the top, but there's actually more money for you. Like you go out to, let's go out to Montana and you shoot 1,010 rated golf and you win $600 at a little small B tier. Well, you shoot 1,010 rated golf at $100,000 tournament on the pro tour and win nothing for that. So you actually get paid more at those events. But not only do you get paid more at those events, there's no competition for you coming in and running a clinic, setting up a day's worth of private lessons, running a trilogy challenge or a Castoplat doubles event or an Innova, random draw pro-am, whatever. You make money at those. So like there's all these ways to make money on the pro tour that are fantastic. And the thing about picking your own tour, and this is with all due respect, I've had nothing but the best time on the pro tour, but a lot of the places on the tour aren't where I would have gone on vacation. Like that's not where I would go. Where I would go on vacation is Montana and Utah and Oregon and Washington and New Mexico. And I would be backpacking. I'd be camping in the desert. Well, like the year before I went into DGPT, that's what I did. I went to tournaments in places I wanted to be. So I wasn't worried so much about, that tournament's got $500 added. I didn't care about that. I was more about, hey, I want to get up to North Idaho, and get to these places. And that's the pro tour. And you can have a hell of a life. So you could do this. You could be really good, a solid 988 rated MP40 player, and actually competing on the pro disc golf tour. Just because you're not a DGPT doesn't mean anything. So yes, you can absolutely 100% tour because there's more than one tour. By the way, I'm going to Europe next year. That's also a different level of play. There's a lot of good golfers out there, but this is the tour. I think it's like you'd have to go back in time 10 years to the U.S. tour, and so it is going to be a little bit different out there. 1,010 rated golf on the European tour is like chase card. It's not cashing at at the Great Lakes Open. Trust me on this. I can tell you firsthand. 1,010 rated golf didn't cash at the Great Lakes Open. So, anyways, yeah. So, long answer, but yes, you can absolutely 100% tour. Whether or not it's a DGPT, who cares? You bought the sauce all for the boss. So is your disc game. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Andy Smart. Thank you for the donation. So here's what I would love for you to do. Post a picture of the sauce, eating the sauce, and tell everybody where to get it and tag me. That'd be fantastic. Thank you. Do I have one of your videos to recommend? Driver backhand that focuses on wrist angles. You don't need a backhand for wrist angle because you know what? You're not doing anything with your wrist. Amy Penguin, if that is your real name. Wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't that be funny if that actually was her name, Amy Penguin? And she's like, my name's Penguin. Got a problem with that? You don't adjust wrist angle. Get that out of your head. Here's what you do with your wrist. Hold your wrist in its natural resting position, where it naturally wants to rest and move back and forth. This is the only place that wrist is going to be for the disc. Now, the reason why is that you could change the angle by tilting your wrist up. You could tilt the angle by turning your wrist down. But all you got to do is go back and forth at either of these angles, and you can feel it grinding and impinging on your wrist. That's not healthy. It's not healthy. You're not strong. That is not what you do. Now, if the only way to adjust the angle of the disc was to adjust with your wrist, even if it wasn't good for you, I would say, suck it up. You're playing sports. It's going to hurt. It's hard to throw hyzers. You're going to feel it, and you're going to get arthritis someday from throwing hyzers. Like I would have no problem telling you that that's what you needed to do. But it's not. Put your wrist at its natural angle relative to your forearm. It's never going to change from that position. You adjust the angle at your waist. You lean forward to throw hyzers. You lean back to throw anhyzers. You can only lean back and forward so far. So once you go forward or back as far as you can comfortably go, if at that point you want to change the angle of the disc, you could then lower your arm where you're pulling the disc across your body. Or when you lean back, you can only lean back so far, you would raise the disc up. But you change angle at your waist until the waist won't go any farther. And then any extra angle comes from raising and lowering the arm. It's never with your wrist. There you go. So now you don't need a video. Patrick Govang. I love you, Pat. Happy birthday from Tucker Hill. Scott, question. What tournament from your past sticks out as the one you played at the top of your game? You know, so it's a tournament that I lost. And this is about the only thing that's ever made me like be able to live with the fact that I got beat by Ken always. This is a joke I made as recently as yesterday, that on my business card under my career, it said finishing second place to Ken Kleinbaugh. That was like my job. And I never got to win Pro Worlds. I finished second twice. But at the 1998 World Championships, I played my best game. You know, I don't have to look back and think, God, I never had my A game at Worlds. You know, if only I had just brought it once, I would have had it. That's not the case. Now, I didn't play perfect golf. I had one kind of mediocre 9 holes on a fairly easy course. But other than that, I played great. I believe, and the only reason I remember this is because after the time I was super impressed by this. I think I had 3 bogeys and 1 double in 9.5 rounds. Furthermore, one of the courses was Mount Airy. Mount Airy was so hard. They broke the field into 2 pools, A pool and B pool. And it wasn't all the good players are in A and everyone else was in B. It was an equal distribution of players, half and half, A pool and B pool. One of the pools did not have a single player in the pool shoot Mount Airy under par for 2 rounds. So that's how hard the course was. Not one player shot under par, and I shot 2 rounds of Mount Airy bogey-free, which is, I don't know if that's ever happened. I'm positive it never happened before. So I played my best game, and I still lost. But and by the way, I cried my eyes out. It was very difficult to deal with at the time. But when I look back, I just think, man, I played my best, and Ken was better. And that was easier to live with than never having played my best. Hey, let me plug some stuff. On my website, Tour Series Bergs, signed. I got signed Bergs. I got signed Marvels. I have signed Wizards. It's ScottStokely.net. I also have Harps, Stalls, Lewitts, and I think there was one more. I should know what I have for sale. I have other Tour Series discs coming out.
Stalls, Marvels, Harps.
I guess that's it. Yep. You can also buy my autobiography. Go to ScottStokely.net. There's a link to buy the book. There's also a link to download the audiobook and a bunch of other cool stuff there as well.
Are you going to eat cake?
I will in a little bit. I don't want to eat cake while we're talking because then it's all going to be in my teeth. Chocolate cake's nasty.
That's true.
Will you bring me a soda, please? A diet soda. Don't get the wrong idea. What's my favorite course to play and why?
Well, that one's almost empty.
Oh, yeah. My favorite course, I love... Oh, my God. There's so many good courses. Eagles Crossing right now is my favorite. I think Eagles Crossing is the best course. I absolutely love it out there. There's something special about Oak Grove, the world's first course. See, it's diet. But I would say Eagles Crossing, although I had a heck of a time at Toboggan, I loved Idlewild. God, Idlewild was so good. You know, the thing about this year, Northwoods Black. Jesus Christ, that course was so much fun. It was so hard. It was so great. The thing about the Pro Tour is that The best, the worst course on the Disc Golf Pro Tour this year is like an amazingly great course. Like the worst course I'd give like an A- to. Like there are no bad courses. And one of the things that's going to be tough for me not being out on the Pro Tour next year, I think the toughest thing is not getting to play courses like these, because this is what I've always wanted to play my entire life, where you go out and shoot a par and you feel good about it. Like every hole in the Pro Tour, if you par it, you're not mad. There's not a single hole out there where you're like, oh, I can't believe I parred this one. You know, even the easy holes are like, yeah, par's okay. I can live with a par. Got to birdie the next one, but like, it's just perfect. And going out to play courses where you step up and there's the basket you throw at it is going to be a drag. But Eagles Crossing, though. Follow up. You asked how to keep a 12-year-old interested in disc golf. You played the Trilogy Challenge last week. He was re-energized and practicing competing. First round, he scored +10. Second round, +2. Super proud. That's awesome. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, kids, you know, like you can't make yourself like or not like something, you know. But you could certainly make a kid not like something if you pressure them into it. I had a really good friend who was talking about playing, really high level soccer when they were younger, and their dad put so much pressure on them that they stopped liking it. They started to hate it, and it went from like, I'm going to go play soccer in college to I don't want to play this game anymore. So I know a parent can definitely make it less fun. But if they take to disc golf and they love it, you don't have to keep them interested. They'll stay interested. What's the toughest challenge a new professional must overcome to compete against the top 10 professionals? Oh my God. The toughest challenge to competing against the top 10. You just have to get good like them. I mean, that's such a lame answer, but you got to make all your putts. You got to like not mess up on pro shots. You got to throw far. You have to have all the shots. You have to be able to scramble and not get into trouble. You can't get nervous. I mean, you can get nervous, but you can't let it affect your game. The thing is that the difference between a top 10 pro and a top 50 pro is razor thin. It's an average of 3 or 4 strokes around, but 3 or 4 throws out of 40 is like one less made putt, one less hit fairway, one additional out of bounds, and one approach shot that you're supposed to get that they got. But I mean, if you watch a 10-10, if you didn't know the players by name and you were out on the Pro Tour, this is the truth. If there was a 1,040 rated player, 1,020, 1,010, and 1,005 rated player on a card together, and you saw them play the round, and you just watched them play one round, didn't know who they were, you could not tell who the top player was. Like you might have a guess because so-and-so shot the best score, but that might have been a 1,005 player who just knocked off a 1,050 round. It's like, oh, they make all their putts, they're the best. But you can't tell by looking at them who's better. They're all so good. But those 4 things around at the end of 3 tournaments is 12 strokes. Well, 12 strokes is the difference between 10th and 50th. And it doesn't take much. I'm talking one less putt around, one OB. You know, it's funny. Like I'm like I shot 10-24 at Des Moines, and I had 3 or 4 OBs that were OB by like a foot. It's like, oh my God! Like, and by the way, I missed qualifying for USDGC by 3 strokes, and I think I had probably 4 OBs with it that were OB by a foot. And part of me is like, oh, I can't believe it. I thought that was so close to like, you know. By the way, that would have put me like top 10. And you know, it's like, oh, I'm like that close. Well, but was I really that close? Because the player in 10th place didn't throw those OB. Their bad shots were 4 feet closer to the hole than mine. I was OB by a foot. They were inbounds by 3. They're not throwing those extra shots out of bounds. I am. And so even though they're only landing 4 feet apart, it's everything. So I think it's just basically tightening up every single part of your game and not having a weakness, and then executing. I will say one more thing. I think mechanics is the most important thing. If I had to list the correlation I see between the best players, is it that they throw far? Is it they have a strong mental game? Is it that they stay relaxed? Is it this? Is it like the number one correlation between the top players is they're mechanically sound. Nobody at the top throws wrong. And there are, however, 1,000, 5,000, 10 players that do mechanical things that are just a little bit wrong. Not hugely wrong, but a little bit wrong. But none of the 1,040 players do. None. They throw exactly how they're supposed to throw. What about Simon and Eagle? I feel like Eagle is taller, but distance-wise, I think Simon has the advantage. Well, Simon does have the advantage, but it doesn't mean that someone throws, just because they're taller, they throw farther. There's other factors involved. Simon is a distance thrower. He knows how to throw distance. That's a different type of game. I think Anthony Barella outthrows Simon on a golf course, and I think Simon outthrows Anthony Barella distance-wise in a distance competition. It's not the same throw. It's similar, but it's not the same. Simon knows how to throw distance shots. How many disc golf courses have I designed or worked on? Very little. I've worked and helped with some courses. I've put some courses in the ground. I've never got into course design, and I don't think I'm going to. I think it's kind of fun, but there's a patience that's involved in designing a course. You know, like you got to be able to walk a piece of land and then walk it and learn it and visualize it and construct it, and it takes a lot of patience. It's a very Zen-like process, and I'm very impatient. I want to go teach classes and make content and do live streams. So I'm just not the personality. Like, I think I would do a good job. I think I'm a good job of knowing that basket should be here. If it was to the left, that one tree needs to go. It's making the hole worse, not better. Like, I think my opinions are valid, but the actual skill of like Dave McCormick or John Houck or Greg Hosfeld that's a whole another skill. They're bad. They're the best. How long I've been throwing the Berg? What made me decide the Berg? I'm still fairly new to the sport, and the Berg was a game changer for me. Curious to get a pro's perspective on the Berg. Yeah, I had contacted Anders Shellstrom, who's a friend. All these companies they're all friends of mine, and so I contacted Anders at Costaplast, and I was like, "Hey, congratulations! Heard you got this new company up. I want to try out some of your discs." And he sent me a box of discs, and I just lost my mind. I said, "This is the best disc." I made a video like 4 years ago or whenever I first got the Berg. I threw it for the first time, and I said, "This is the best disc I've ever thrown." And I said, "It's the best disc because it doesn't fly." Like, I could put that disc on a dime, and all of a sudden I had a finesse game for the first time in my life, because I could control that better than any other disc. And then I made Berg video after Berg video after Berg video and promoted the heck out of it. And now what happened was, this is what's so cool, was I made all these Berg videos, and I think it was in Nashville. People were having a hard time getting the Berg. This is like a year or two ago. About a year and a half ago. People were having a hard time getting the Berg. And the guy at the Nashville Pro Shop got home, had a box of Bergs waiting for him or something, I don't remember. But he posted on his page, "Hey, I got Bergs available. I open up at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning." And he shows up to the shop, and there's a line of people like around the block, not around the block, but like around the store, a line of people that had showed up at 8 a.m. to buy the Berg. And he asks them, he's like, "So wait a second, why are you guys all so excited about the Berg?" And everybody's like, "Stokely told us to throw them. Stokely throws them. Stokely said they're the best. Stokely says you got to throw them." And he went down the line. Everybody says you got to throw them. Well, and I had nothing to do with this. He was videotaping the whole thing. So he got this videotape of everybody down the road going, like, "Why are you here?" "Because Stokely said to throw the Berg." So, and then he sends the video to Anders at Costaplast. And then Anders told me, he said I was the biggest reason the Berg hit. Now, I would argue that I might be the biggest reason why people started trying the Berg. The fact that the Berg's a great disc is why people kept throwing it and recommended it to their friends. So I'm clearly not the reason why the Berg's successful. It's because the disc is good. But I introduced people to it, and then I kind of got synonymous with it. I love the Berg. By the way, I'll even show you. Can you hand me that box? Or just hand me one of those discs? As I lean over to blow my nose again, because I want to take another test in the morning. I'll be devastated if it comes out negative.
You mean positive?
Or positive, you know what I'm saying. I have K1 Bergs at scottstokely.net. These are the overstable Bergs. I also have K3 Tour Series Bergs. I love the Tour Series Bergs because I got my Tour Series stamp on them. They also cost more because they're Tour Series. These are just stock discs. But Bergs are hard to come by. I got a massive amount of K1 Bergs. So scottstokely.net, check them out.
What do they do different?
They're overstable. The K3 is an understable disc. Oh, and by the way, if you go there, the coolest disc golf shirts ever, the Stokely Universe shirts. These are available at scottstokely.net. Also, we have a new design coming out every month. Everyone takes place in my universe, which I don't know what that means, but it's like the Marvel universe and the DC universe. And so Stokely Universe seemed like a very trendy thing to call it. But the idea is that it's all done by the same artist, Creative Rob. And he's our favorite artist. And all the designs are coming from Creative Rob. All right. How do I feel about PDGA refs to call the faults and errors during the elite level series? It's what should happen. However, it's like we've come so far, but you now would all of a sudden have to have an additional 36 for FPO and NPO, or at least, very least 18. I guess if you cycle through one course in the same day, you could do it with 18. But you need an additional 18 qualified people at every single event. Well, where do you get them? Do they travel? Do you pay for 18 people to travel the country just to referee the events?
They don't even have UDisc people for every card right now.
Yeah, we can't even get people to do UDisc every card until we get volunteers. And there's still times with UDisc where we're like, we don't have a UDisc person. Does anybody in the gallery want to do UDisc? Like, we're just not there yet. Yeah, the goal should always, for sure, end goal should be for players not having to call each other. That's not good. But it is still the way it is right now. And the thing is, you got to remember something. This is the nature of why, like, one of the problems with social media, and I'm not going to get onto the old man social media rants. I make my entire living off social media. I think social media is the greatest invention in the history of the world. I'm not on team social media is destroying America. But one problem with it, though, is that you get a very skewed version of reality. So what you see in social media is, oh my God, this blow up or this confrontation. You know what you don't see? The thousands of interactions with players calling other players, and there's no drama. You know, I've been in groups where someone's called like foot faults on another player, and the person said, "Oh, really? Was my foot really? You sure it wasn't behind?" The person's like, "Yeah, no, you're way off to the side." All right, cool. Yeah, I'll take my penalty. That happens. That happens way more than not. Players will walk up and say, like, I've seen players in stances where their other foot is in, like, it's a straddle stance. Their other foot's been in front of their lie. And the player in the group doesn't wait for them to putt and then call them on a foot fault. They go, hey, wait, whoa. Just so you know, your foot's a little bit too far forward. And I've never seen a single time where the person putting didn't stop and say, oh, cool, thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, thanks, I'm glad you saw that. So you don't see all the times that it works, which is almost every time. You just see the times that it doesn't. That's newsworthy. So, yeah, I don't want players to have to call it, but it works well. It does work fine most of the time. Obviously, the emphasis of power and distance has increased since the 90s. Do you feel the importance of finesse has decreased in the same time? Asked another way, do you feel today's top players compete with the finesse top players of the 90s? That's a fantastic question. So I'll start by saying there is no question and there is zero debate that the players today are better than the players of the old days. Period. Like, you have a pool of 20 times as many players to pick from. You're going to get 20 times as many good athletes out of that pool. You're also drawing from a pool of more athletic players where we weren't necessarily the most athletic bunch in the old days. We were certainly, they were very good athletes, but the pool was not a pool made up of as high level athletes as you're going to see today. You have kids starting younger. You have YouTube videos. The play is better. There was a skill set, though, on the courses of the 80s and 90s that is different than the skill set of today. So it's not that the players in the 80s and 90s are better, but if a top player went back to North Carolina in 1988, they're not a favorite out there. Like, you have no idea, like, how good those North Carolina golfers were. Like, you have no idea how good Jeff Lissman was out in California on the courses that Jeff Lissman excelled at. It was ungodly how good they were. So I think that one specific part of the game, I would give the nod to the older players on, because the newer players aren't playing their entire games on 240-foot wooded shots. So, and they're still great today, but those players were better back then. Now, could any of the players in the old days compete in the modern game? I think I could have, because I threw far. But that's about it, because the players back then developed games for the courses. When I toured in the 90s, I basically played every single tournament on a pitch and putt course. Even the courses that were viewed as long courses for back then, they were 6,000-foot courses. Everybody in the tournament could reach every hole, at least on the top 10 cards, top 5 cards. I played all my tournaments at the 90s on the courses that were the weakest part of my game. I never got to play my type of golf, which is like the modern type of golf. I was playing these courses and just, I want to say I got killed on them. I was always in the top 4, but I felt like I was getting killed because I wasn't winning every weekend. How loose should your wrist be? You're getting decent distance, but can't find that pop sound. You have to develop a feel for it. Yeah, the pop's not because of your wrist. Just try to keep your wrist straight, right? Let the wrist be straight. What happens is, even though you're keeping it straight, the top of the wrist is parallel to the top of the arm. As you're accelerating, the wrist will bend, but then it'll snap back into place. But the pop doesn't come from that. The pop comes from you planting your foot before any other part of your body has begun moving forward. If you search for Scott Stokely snap, there may be more than one video, but if you see a video with like 300,000 views about snap, watch that video. I could go into it here, but it's like a 12-minute video. but snap isn't caused by your wrist. The snap is causing by planting your foot first before anywhere else in your body rotates. If you do that, the whip will crack. What's the best forehand grip and form? Well, the best form is the way I teach it. And I just told the person before, you can just go look at my different sidearm videos. Sign up for my class, my 6-month online class. I'm opening up a new one in a couple months. But if you look for Scott Stokely sidearm, there's a video with like 200,000 views. So 3 tips for sidearm. That's a great place to start, that video. And then there's a second sidearm video about not serving the pizza. There's a third sidearm video about the 3 different backswings, or the 2 different backswings, the pendulum and the windmill. Between those 3, you'll get everything you need. As far as the sidearm, there is no best grip. There is no such thing as a best grip in disc golf. There never will be. Our hands are too different. You have to find the grip that works for you. No other part of the game is like this. I always joke that if you've ever been told throwing advice, if someone's ever said to you, just figure out what works for you and do that. Don't do that. That's really bad advice. You can't just throw any way you want to. Physics and biomechanics, that trumps everything. There's a right way to throw. The one exception is grip. Grip will always be individual. So you have to figure out the grip that works for you. If you go search for Scott Stokely sidearm grip, you'll see information there too. I'm not trying to dismiss the questions, but if I have a 7-minute video, no reason to go rehash it here. When I took 2 weeks off to fix my putt, talk about discs, you tested all the data you took. What basket did I use? Full size, interchain only, something else. I used the Gateway Bullseye basket, but that didn't make a difference. If I was putting at a regular basket, a Chain Star, a Veteran basket, a disc catcher, it doesn't matter. I don't think the basket matters. I'm still, doesn't matter what I'm putting at. I'm still aiming at that spot, and I'm trying to hit that spot. So I had a bullseye basket because that's what I had in the car, but that's why I used it, because that's what I had with me. Do I love my wife or my Berg more? Oh my God. Well, first off, she's not my wife, but I know what you mean. Adrian, do I love you more or the Berg? I make more money with the Berg.
Yeah, I'll concede that.
Will you concede that to the Berg?
Definitely.
Definitely.
The Berg makes me happy too.
The Berg makes her happy. And I only, between my wife and the Berg, I only sell one of them on my website.
True.
But then again,
if you love it, you let others have it. Is that,
yeah, if you love it, let it go. and if I think that's the expression. If you love something, let it go. If it flies 230 feet but doesn't go long because it has 0 glide, it's yours forever. I think that's the expression. I'm going to go with, God, that's really tough. I mean, I would totally say my wife, but I don't want to hurt the Berg's feeling, so I'm going to.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go.
You are kind of legally bound to the Berg, and you're not legally bound to me at all.
Yeah, I pay to keep you. like this is an asset. Yeah. This is a financial asset. You are a financial liability. That's also true. But then again, you also designed my website. God, this is really tough. I can't live without either. How's that for a cop out of an answer?
Very diplomatic.
I know. I would totally have just said you, because that's what you're supposed to say in 2022. But A, I'm not a millennial. So I don't have to play the all shucks boyfriend mode. And the Berg was within earshot. I don't want to hurt the Berg's feelings. I got a world championships to win, and I need them on my side.
Also very true.
When gripping disc on drives, how hard should you be gripping it? The only way I can say is answer it firm. There's no way to quantify how hard to grip. There's no measurement of how many pounds per square inch. And here's what I'll tell you: you're gripping it right. I could just, without even watching you throw, you're gripping it the right firmness. If you're having a problem with your throw, it's not because of the grip. And the reason this is not based on, this is not subjective. This is what I base this on. 1,200 private lessons, 200 seminars, all these clinics, more teaching than anyone in the world. And I start every day off with ignoring grip. That's the last thing we're going to worry about. And with maybe 2 exceptions ever, and I'm not even exaggerating. If I'm exaggerating, it's 3 exceptions ever. When we corrected the other parts of the game, the throw worked. It was never gripped. It was the problem. It just seems like the shortest answer. Oh, the disc is wobbling. I'll change my grip. It probably is still wobbling. Now, it doesn't mean it's still wobbling, but you've already experimented with different grips. You've already experimented different firmness. You already know which one works best for you. So I can tell you right now, your grip is right. 99% chance your grip is right. It's not about the grip. Would you change any of the holes at Packard? Hole 3 comes to mind. That is the only one. That's the only hole at Packard that is just, there's a little bit of luck involved. I love the basket by the water. If there was a tree or two out, I think it would make the fairway because you have to hit the fairway and then you have to kind of hope at the end. That's the only thing I don't like. And yeah, I was like 600 for 6 holes or something like that. Except that I threw that one. It landed right by the basket and went into the water on my last round. But yeah, and it's not even that it's a bad hole. It's just it's probably the worst hole out there, but it's still not a bad hole. I wouldn't change anything else though. The other 18 holes were great. When will the next book be? Oh, thank you, by the way. When will the next book be coming out? I mean, it's got to be at least a year away. I finished the first draft, and it's just, but there's so much working and writing and rewriting. This is what I figured out is that, like, once you finish the first draft, it's the hardest part, getting it down on paper, but it's so far from being done. I mean, I think like real writers, like I'd be willing to bet that like Stephen King sits at a typewriter. I'm pretty sure he still uses a typewriter, and he just constructs the story and then tells the story and then submits it to the editor. But I'm not a writer. I'm not a real writer. My co-author is a real writer, but he is having to deal with my not being a real writer. So it starts off kind of all over the place and disjointed. And so it's a year off. Let's see. You're in the Stokely method. Seen some improvements in your game. Thank you. Hope you're feeling better. Hoping to meet you next week at Worlds. I hope I'm going to be at Worlds too. Like, I mean, I think I just have a runny nose. I'm worried. I mean, I tested this morning. It's negative. I'll test tomorrow morning. I hope I'm not sick. I will be crushed. I'll be so devastated. But I don't even know why I say that. I'm like sitting here saying I'll be so devastated, but I won't be, will I? Like I truly so I say that because it's almost like that's like I feel like I'm supposed to be devastated, but I'm leading this like such an amazing, lucky life that if I can't play Worlds, like I'm not going to be crying about it. I'll be disappointed. That's what I'm trying to say. Disappointed is fine. Devastated, not devastated.
Well, because you need points for the tour. You need to qualify.
Yeah, I missed the Champions Cup, and then I'm going to miss Worlds, which means I'll have no majors to get points to go to like Maple Hill. Yeah. So I'll probably miss Maple. But again, cry me a river. I'm leading my dream life. I'm leaving the country in October for 18 months to travel and play disc golf around the world. Like what am I supposed to do? Cry? Oh, I missed a Frisbee tournament. Mm-hmm. Like I would never do something like that. I would never cry about how rough things are for me when I know so many people would trade places. So devastated is not the right word. I'll be a little disappointed.
But we're still hoping it's.
But it also just might be the sniffles. Any course in Southern California I like to play. Well, I grew up there. And, oh, God, I mean, if you go to Southern California, you have to play Oak Grove, the world's first course. That's mandatory. It's Oak Grove. It's our sports history. The sport began there. Well, I mean, it didn't begin there, but that was the first permanent disc golf course. La Mirada is probably the second course in the world. And there's still some debate, but I think it's pretty likely La Mirada's the second course, which is great. Morley Field's a classic, but I don't know if any of them are. I mean, none of them are like. Well, I shouldn't say none. None of the ones I've played are like championship level courses. I mean, I'm just so spoiled on the Pro Tour. These courses are so great.
Goat Hill was fun. Yeah,
Goat Hill was a fun course, but Goat Hill was still pretty easy.
Yeah.
There were hills, but I mean, Goat Hill was pretty.
It's sort of like.
Goat Hill needed a lot more out of bounds.
Yeah, it has potential to be.
Yeah.
A really lot better than it is.
And if you head up north, you go to De La Vega. De La Vega is a classic course. It's still dated because it's all par threes. I mean, it's still just thrown in the basket. But the holes are good. There's a lot of history there. That's Northern California. But they just have more land out west or east of there. HB. Hey, what's up, Dan Kilgore? How are you? You got your yellow Stokely shirt to wear. That's awesome, dude. Man, I love you, Dan. Please wear it and take a picture and post it and tag me.
Hold it up so that.
Yeah. Oh, this is the shirt he's talking about. The Stokely jersey, the Stokely Universe jersey. By the way, there's a rumor coming out that there's possibly going to be discs with this stamp, full color stamp on them. It's possible those are coming out in like a week or two. Possibly. And by possibly, I mean they're coming out in a week or two. Possibly. Hypothetically. You said you don't have many more wins in the bag at the OTB Big Money Skins. If you were to win Worlds, would you automatically consider that time to retire? If not, what would? Oh God, no. That has nothing to do with like I'm never going to retire. I'm going to keep playing as long as I can. I'm going to be 1,000 rated 60-year-old, and because so here's the thing, and this is I'm going to try to phrase this the right way. I don't want to lose fans when I say this because I'm going to say something that might get a little misinterpreted. But the actual playing the game part of disc golf, I've been doing for a very long time. And that's not as much fun as it used to be. Like just going out and playing around. Like I never go out and play around at disc golf. I love competing. I love the Pro Tour. I love going out and playing these championship courses against the best in the world. I don't care if I get beat by the best in the world. If I can go out and shoot 1,024 golf like I did at the Iowa, at the Des Moines Challenge, that was good enough to practically, like, that would have won Worlds like 20 years ago. Like, that's so high level still. I don't mind getting beaten by 30 people because, like, I played really well. Like, I love that part of it. But a lot of playing for me is it allows me to live the life I want to live. And the life I want to live is free. I want to be free to go, to travel. I don't want a home. I don't want to own stuff. I just want to go to new places and exciting adventures. And so, like, I'm never going to retire because, like, what's at the other end of retirement for me? Like a job in a cubicle, you know? I did that for 3 years. And with great companies, with really good people, and they paid me really well, but it's not me. And it's just not who I am. I have to be on the road. Like I cannot, I've never been happy in one place. And so disc golf allows me to live my life, that life. Just like your musical, you have to make one course for posterity. Just like my musical.
Mm-hmm. Then when you were asking you about course design work.
Oh, I gotta make one more for posterity. I designed the Grateful Disc course in Fort Collins, Colorado, and a month afterwards, this is in 1998. If you go to Google 1998 Fort Collins flood, the entire town of Fort Collins had a 100-year flood and washed the entire course away. Like a month after it went into the ground. True story. I designed the course. Well, me, Chris Vogt, and Flo Fender designed the course for the Culture Clash, the U.S. version. It was the first version of like the Disc Golf Ryder Cup. It was U.S. versus Europe. I captained the first team over in Gstaad, Switzerland 2 years before, and then we ran the Culture Clash in the U.S. 2 years later. We designed that course. So I designed those courses. But yeah, other than that, I haven't really designed much. What do the numbers 07 mean or stand for?
Is that on the disc? When you held up the disc? I don't know what the context is for that question.
Okay. Please, hello, Amy, by the way. Please tell me, can you clarify that one?
Why don't you talk about some sauce for a second?
Oh, did y'all know I have Stokely barbecue sauce? Yeah, Texas hickory, Carolina vinegar, D and I. These bottles are kind of worn. DI on those two bottles. Kansas City sweet and California spicy. So the 4 flavors of sauce. Oops, what am I doing? Spell out DISC. And because I dropped out of school to play Frisbee golf full time, I have no idea what DISC spells, but I've been told that it's something cool. I have no idea. Maybe
How old were you when you dropped out?
I basically dropped out of school when I was 15. But I hadn't been to school like in at least a year. What I would do is I had a set of discs in my locker. My mom would drop me off at school. I would walk to my locker. I would put my books in my locker, get my discs out, go disc golf all day. At the end of the day, I'd go back up to school, put my discs back in my locker, grab my backpack out. My mom would pick me up. I'd go home. I would go home. I would eat something, grab my golf bag, go to the park and play disc golf until dark. And I did that every day until finally I realized that I could just drop out. Let's see. You've seen that a couple times while watching. It's also showing it in the background behind the comments.
On Facebook?
On Facebook.
Let me see.
I don't know. Let me think. Is it on a disc? Is it that
I think she's seeing something that we don't see.
Yeah, I think you're seeing something we don't. I don't know. Nope. How much does the footfall really benefit a player? It could be significant. It depends on the shot. There's times when it doesn't benefit them at all. There's also times, if you're just trying to stretch around an obstacle, a footfall, this could be the difference between having a shot to get to the hole and having to pitch out a foot. So it for sure matters. Oh God, I don't want to be sick. Let's see. You need to release a new book with photos that follows growing up disc golf. Yeah, we talked about that, but there isn't a whole lot of photos of me. We did talk about putting them in the book, and since the book came out, I've actually gotten a whole ton of photos that we could put in there. Maybe we could release, hold on a second, maybe we could release a Christmas version with a couple of the stories that got taken out and photos as well. That's not a bad idea because I could release an editor's cut. Because I took a whole bunch of stories out. The book right now is like 80,000 words. The book I wrote was like 126,000 words. So I took about a third of it out. Basically, when I finished writing the book and started reading through it, I realized that the only thing that really made sense for this story were things related to disc golf or things that related to my growth or evolving as a person. Like, why am I the way I am? Why did I fail at this part of my life? Or why did I succeed at that part? Like, what things, like, if it was relevant to that part of the story, I kept it in. But there were stories in there that just had nothing to do with anything. And they were just like, oh, that was a really cool story. But it didn't flow. So I took a lot of those out. But maybe I could put some of those back in just for fun and pictures.
Yeah.
And then I could sell my same book to all the people that bought the first book. Like the way they used to do with DVD director cuts. Total cash grab. I'm in. What is glide? Is it a real thing? Yeah, it's a real thing. It just basically means how far the disc is going to carry. Some discs fall out of the sky. Some discs glide. If you want to get distance, you need a disc that's going to glide. If you have a low ceiling, you may want a disc that glides because it doesn't have the height. So therefore, you want it to penetrate farther before falling out of the sky. But if you can reach a hole with a disc without glide, you would prefer that because it gives you the smallest margin for error. That's why the Berg is so good, but also why the Harp is so good. It's why players throw putters on drives if they can reach it with a putter because it's slower and it has less glide. So it's a real thing for sure. Can I throw close to my distance record? Yeah. So the funny thing is I could actually, I could throw almost as far now as I could in the 90s because of the disc technology. I still threw a little farther back then, but not by much. In fact, maybe it's not even true because I had the sidearm distance record at 568 with an X2. I think it's a speed 6. If it's not, it's a speed 7. It's not even a fairway. It's not even a fast fairway driver. It's like it's almost a mid range. And I threw a sidearm 568. I threw really far. At the clinic in Columbus, Ohio, before the Brent Handbrake tournament a month ago, during the demonstrating the clinic, I threw a sidearm 600 feet, and we shot it with a laser multiple times. I mean, I knew it was over 550, so it's not like I was surprised. It was the farthest I've ever thrown a sidearm, and the fact that I did that at 52 years old is kind of bizarre. But some of it's the disc technology. But I certainly didn't throw 568 with the old discs. So the backhand, though, I mean, if I get one 600 feet now on the golf course with the backhand, I feel like pretty darn good about it. So maybe I do throw as far. It's actually probably comparable now that I think about it. 450 hyzers with the speed 6 is what I used to do. I guess it's probably about the same, but I'm probably throwing 20 miles an hour slower. If you were to play with earbuds, what music would I listen to? So I like hardcore punk rock and Broadway musicals, or I've been into The Antwoord. Like that's been like my recent thing. There's actually a song coming out that I can't tell you about, but there's actually a song coming out that would be, there's my answer. There's one song and one song only, and it's coming out soon. It's going to be, I think, the disc golf anthem. It's going to be our Rocky, but I can't tell you anything more about it except that it's. I mean, I have it. I mean, it's done. It's completed. They're just putting together the music video now. It's going to be the best song in disc golf. When am I coming back to Illinois? Am I coming back to Illinois?
I might go through it on the way to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I might go through it on the way to Pittsburgh. I gotta look. I'll have to look at the map. I might be. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm leaving the country in October for at least 18 months. No idea when I'm coming back. How many courses in Western North Carolina can you recommend? I mean, so if there's a whole ton around Charlotte, it's not really Western North Carolina, but it's Western-ish. I know there's one real fun course in Asheville. I can't remember, but it's on the side of a hill that I played. I played one in Ashe County. I think it's, I want to get wrong. I think it's either Ashe County or Ashe. I had a great time up there. That was a real fun course. So yeah, I wish Laurel Springs was still around, but it's not. What molds would they possibly be?
The full color Stokely University.
Oh, I can't. I don't want to say. It's a surprise, but they're a top major manufacturer mold that everybody's familiar with. Is there any Silver Series tour stop that you would upgrade to an Elite Series? What about vice versa? An Elite Series to a Silver Series? You know, here's the problem. Like, this is why it's so tough. Not one single tournament hasn't crushed it. None. Like, there's not one. And I'm not just trying to like pander to people, and I'm not just trying to be nice. I'm always straight with everybody. There's not one Silver Series event that isn't good enough for an Elite Series. Maybe they don't have the prize money, or they've been around for long enough, but they all crushed. I mean, like tournaments like Belton, like, were perfect. Like, Belton couldn't have been any better. Yeah.
Some of them are infrastructure issues. Like, there's not enough hotels.
Sometimes there's not enough hotels or parking, things like that.
Here's Wi-Fi to do the streaming.
Yeah. De La Vega or the Masters Cup doesn't have the Wi-Fi. Here's my answer. How about this one? Instead of saying which course, I'm going to give the other answer. Every single Silver Series tournament, if it became an Elite Series next year, would knock it out of the park. Every one of them. And I think that the Elite Series need to be watching their backs, because the standard is going to get higher and higher, because it's going to be people gunning for them that want to be moved up to that tier. And when you get moved up to that tier, someone's going to lose their spot. And even if you're an amazing tournament, if you're the weakest out of the whatever 10 or 15 Elite Series, even though that's like better than any tournament in the world 10 years ago, you're still at risk. Like, I mean, there's a couple that are pretty much etched in stone. Like, I don't see like D-Glow going anywhere. You know, I don't see any of them going in. As I say that, I don't see any of them going anywhere. Like, they're all good. But that's the nature of sports, though. Someone's going to come up. Des Moines going to come around and say, hey, we just got a $75,000 sponsor. We want to be elite level. DGPT is going to go, hell yeah, we want you to be elite level. Ooh, now we got too many elite levels. So I think everybody's going to have to do a good job to keep their spots. Fellow 55-year-olds order some stretching routines. Flexibility seems to be the hardest thing for me. Yeah, this is an area that's not my area of expertise. I never want to recommend something that could be bad advice and hurt somebody. Disc Golf Strong is the experts at this, because it's not just static stretching. It's about stability and mobility. And the pros on tour are using the Disc Golf Strong techniques. Now, what I will tell you is this. What I like to do, and this is the one area where I feel safe saying I don't think you can go wrong with this, is throwing soft. If you throw the shots you're going to be throwing at 30% power, 40% power, 50% power, I don't see how that could be a wrong approach. I mean, you're literally just stretching, gradually warming up and stretching the exact muscle, tendons, ligaments, joints that you're going to be using for the throw. So I think that's a safe one. But other actual stretches, like Disc Golf Strong. What do you think the hardest hole Eagles Crossing is? Oh my God. Have you guys seen hole 15? Jesus Christ.
18 was pretty hard too.
15 was the hardest.
15 had never been birdied before. So
hole 15 had never been birdied before in tournament or competition. Clearly that's actually true. Yeah. Clearly that's the hardest hole in the course. And if I gave any other answer than that, I would lose my professional self-promoting marketer card. I would have to turn it in. Probably and do the walk of shame home.
Home in a circle around the coffee table.
Every hole out there is hard. Every hole at Eagles Crossing is hard. There's none of them that are easy. They all want to get you. It's kind of awesome. I'm at car wash with self-service. I am way too old for self-service. Am I coming to Raleigh before I leave? I am not-ish.
There's a good maybe on there.
There's a decent maybe on there because I have to move around a seminar. Yeah. Which we need to do this weekend. I gotta get back into bed in just a few minutes. I'm dying. I hope I'm feeling better tomorrow. So yeah, I love Raleigh though. I mean, Raleigh's been an epicenter of, it was an epicenter of disc golf in the early 80s. Can you grab me one more soda, please?
You want soda or you want coffee?
No, I actually have coffee.
Okay.
I'll drink some coffee and some soda.
So you're good or you still need soda?
Have I considered growing a beard? Is that like beard?
Beard. A little typo.
So yeah. Well, I didn't know if it was something the kids are calling these days. Yeah. It's a beard, but if you don't have a mustache, it's a yeard. Why do you call it that? I don't know. No, I actually would love a soda though. No.
Well, I'll have to change the question before I get up.
No, I've actually tried growing a beard before, and I'm one of those people that it kind of comes across patchy. And the other thing is I actually have, minus some widow peaks right on the side here, I actually have a decent head of hair and very little gray hair for 53. Which I'm not ashamed of getting older, but it's I don't have a lot of gray hair, but my beard is gray. And I think I aged 10 years when I had the beard. Ever play in West Virginia? Of course. I played in 1997. I played an A tier in Paw Paw, West Virginia. This is back when I was really good, back 25 years ago. It was an A tier, and I won by 16 strokes, I believe, in Paw Paw. I played really well out there. I think Mike Moser was in second, and Mike was good. Oh, yeah.
Why did I think Paw Paw was somewhere else?
All right, y'all want to hear a story about Paw Paw, West Virginia?
Yes.
Holy cow. Let me start by saying Appalachia, the people of Appalachia, like, they might be my favorite people in the whole country. Like, the people everywhere in this country are awesome. I don't care what you say. I'm not going political here, but the people in Portland are just as awesome as the people in Cleveland. Like, there's awesome people everywhere. But the people in Appalachia, like, there's just, like, they own their weird. Portland claims to be weird. No, not compared to Appalachia, but they own it, and it's the best. So I ain't crapping on Appalachia or Paw Paw. It's just, this is amazing. I saw this with witnesses in Paw Paw, West Virginia, as I'm about to sneeze. Paw Paw, West Virginia was about an hour or at least 45 minutes from the nearest anything. Like the nearest gas, like, oh, not gas, but the nearest business of any type of city. It's just out in the middle of the country. Spencer Thurman ran the course out there on a private piece of land, which was unheard of back then. There were very few private courses out there where, like, we actually had the course to ourselves. There was no one picnicking out there and playing soccer on the middle of a hole. It was all shared space before then. So anyways, we go to Paw Paw. There's two businesses in Paw Paw. There was a gas station. And by the way, I swear to God, the only businesses within like 45 minutes. There was a gas station and a strip club. For real. That's it. And so, and by the way, the Paw Paw strip club was famous because it was in Paw Paw. And so the players went one year, 1997, they went, and this is something I saw at the Paw Paw strip club. I saw a woman, larger than your typical, like, Las Vegas stripper, a lot less teeth. By the way, I'm missing teeth. I ain't making fun. I'm losing teeth too. But she went on stage. She, did her dance, and then I watched her walk over to the bar, order a whiskey, light up a cigarette with one hand, and breastfeed her baby with the other. I saw that in Paw Paw. It's like, this is the greatest city in the entire world. I don't know if I probably lost people with that, but I'm not making fun of it. Like, it's amazing.
Well, some people in the know might have gotten that confused with an Oreo story, but
no,
we're not going to talk about that because they're children.
I'm just telling you that's just what we saw that. All right, love what you're doing for the autism. You're diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome and always sharpie my bergs to say Asperger. Any plans to visit Norway in the future? So yes, I'll be in Norway next year for sure. 100%. I will be in Norway competing in at least one tournament there. I'm not sure which one. Please, when I come out there, come introduce yourself. And I appreciate you following and posting. And I'm glad that you're out disc golfing, and I'm glad that you're throwing birds. Wait a second. I want to ask Aspergers.
That'd be a great.
I think I'm seeing a promotional connection here. Oh wait, we're on to something. No, but yeah, thank you for coming out. And yeah, I love the community, the special needs community. It's not just autism; it's special needs. I've started doing more with groups with Down syndrome, and I did not jest, but I recently did a class for the Tennessee School for the Blind. I'll tell you all a funny story about the Tennessee School for the Blind. This is great. Because I'll be honest, like when I go to do these special needs classes, I can really like, I don't really care about anybody except for the kids. Like if the kids are having a good time, that's all that matters. So we're at the Music City Open and Tennessee School for the Blind. They were actually one of the sponsors of the event. They had students come out to give some information out. But anyways, I scheduled a class, one of my special needs classes that I've done hundreds of, at the Tennessee School for the Blind. And I got a bunch of touring pros out that were coming out as well because it was right the day before the tournament. And that morning, I get a call from the person, the director. It's a boarding school, so they live at the school. I got a call that said there was a water issue. They had no water. They're sending all the kids home. The kids were so disappointed, but they weren't going to be there. So I was totally bummed out. Well, I ended up canceling, not going to Bowling Green that next weekend to try to fix my putt, but I was going to be in town. So I called the school back. I said, hey, I don't have any touring pros with me, but I still would love to come out there and do it. I can grab some local pros and we can still teach the class. That way the kids don't miss out on it. And they're like, oh my God, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. So we book a second day. And that morning, the guy calls me and says, you're not going to believe this. We have to cancel again. There's lightning storms coming in the afternoon. We can't do it. And I'm like, and he's like, the kids are so disappointed. These are like high school age kids, right? They're so disappointed. And I said, oh, that's too bad. And I said, well, wait a second. Like, do you have a gym? He says, well, we have a gym. He says, but you really can't throw in there. There's like things on the walls, things that can get broken. So you really can't throw. And I said, well, can you putt? Like, is there room to putt? He's like, well, yeah, we could do something where you set up some basket. I said, you'll still come? I said, yeah, heck yeah. We'll get some putting. And the guy says, he says, yeah, but just remember, you can't throw in here. It's because there's just as long as you don't throw and you stick to putting, we can do this. I'm like, not a problem. So we go, I go talk to the class. I'm standing at the gym. Some of the local pros came out and all the kids are standing around, including the guy I was talking to and the principal of the school. And in front of everybody, including the kids, I say, hey, guess what, kids? Good news. The principal said we can throw in here. And everybody's like, yeah. And the principal and the guy that talked to me on the phone are like, really? And I'm like, what are you going to do? You want to tell them? And they're like, okay, I guess you're throwing. So we got to throw in the gym. By the way, I know what I'm doing. Like nothing got broken. Like I know how to set up the, like I know what I'm doing. I teach a lot of these classes. But the point is that I talked my way to the school under the promise of not throwing. And the second I got there, I don't care. I know that's so crappy of me, but I don't care about the adults. I care about the kids. I could care less about the stuff on the walls as long as the kids have fun. Ever play many courses in Arkansas? I bet I would love that course. Yeah, I mean, I play Jonesboro. Jonesboro is a fantastic course, and I love Fayetteville, and holy cow, I've had so much fun in Little Rock over the years. I played one tournament, the Little Rock Open, I think Arkansas State Championships. Whatever it was, I won it. I know that. I won in the Open Division a few years ago, but I love it in Arkansas. So let's go. I got to go wrap this up. I'm like, I can't. My nose won't stop running. I got to just lay down. Okay. Cross your fingers, all. I'm going to test again in the morning, and I hope I'm okay.
We'll just call it.
You want to call it now?
Yeah, you got a couple more.
Couple more?
Yeah.
Okay, anybody? Okay, no more questions, but if you already sent a question, we'll answer them. I don't want to leave anybody hanging. Okay. Before we do that, though, K1 Birds, Tour Series Marvel and Sign Marvels, Tour Series Birds and Sign Birds, Harps, Lutz, Stalls, and Tour Series Wizard signs, all available at scottstokely.net. You can buy my book at scottstokely.net. You can also download the audio book. Scott Stokely Tour Series shirts, not Tour Series shirts, Stokely Universe shirts, the best disc golf shirts ever made. I keep saying that, but I'm not bragging. I'm not taking credit for these. This This was designed by Creative Rob out of Austin, Texas. The best artist I've ever seen. It's both of our favorite artists. And I don't want to hold them up, but there's Scott Stokely barbecue sauce. And you need to try my barbecue sauce. But if you get it, please post a picture of you eating it. You'll love it. All right. So are there any other questions?
You're going to do rapid fire. Hurry.
Do I have a dream 18-hole layout? Well, I was going to say Eagles Crossing is my favorite course in the world, but the one I'm looking forward to most is the Cambodia Open course. We're going to be in Cambodia in February, and I just got that one. It's like I'm so excited to go to Cambodia to play. Does my recent success on tour make me want to stick around next year and give DGPT another shot? No, I'll be in Europe all next year on the European Pro Tour, the PDJ Europe and the European Pro Tour for all of next year. Now, whether or not I come back the following year at age 54, who knows? If I'm still shooting like I think this next ratings jump, I think I'm going to bump up, unless I tank worlds, I'm probably going to jump over 1,010 rated. So, I mean, that's not good. That's not at the top, but it's certainly respectable. It's certainly like, middle of the pack, at least. It's like, it's okay. It's good golf. If I'm shooting that level in 2 years, I would consider coming back, because then I know I deserve to be out here. I won't ever play on the Disc Golf Pro Tour just because like I have a name or a reputation or a history in the sport, because there's so many players that want to play and that don't get in. And I won't take a spot from a player who's trying to make it on the Pro Tour, who's trying to get their shot. Like, I won't take a spot from them if I don't think I'm out here competing to win. Now, I don't have to win. I mean, most people don't win every weekend, but I need to be competing too. So as long as I'm out here, like I've generally been cashing every weekend, as long as I'm out here still competing and cashing, like I'm still one of the better players out here, like I belong out here. I deserve to be out here. But if my game drops below that, I won't show up just to make an appearance, because that would be unfair to some young player.
You can make appearances and not be playing the DGPT. Is there any chance that, like, because you're probably already going to be like in a good position to be playing Worlds next year?
I will not be playing Worlds next year. I'm staying in Europe.
You're staying in Europe for it?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not going to Worlds next year. No, when we get to Europe, I'm not leaving Europe. Absolutely not. I'm staying in Europe for the whole year. Okay. There's no question.
We'll see.
Yeah, I might change my mind. If I'm all of a sudden, if I'm like playing all of a sudden I start playing 1,040 golf or something next spring, you might see me at Worlds. But other than that. Would you and Ken Climo ever consider doing an exhibition round? I don't think Ken plays anymore. I think he's injured. And I mean, and Ken and I, we competed against each other. But how proud of Paul Ulibarri am I? I'm so proud of him. Well, because one thing is...
His stupid idiot plant.
Yeah, and stupid idiot plant. No, the thing about Paul Ulibarri is that he's been a top player for a very long time. He's one of the elder statesmen on the tour right now. But he was dealing with some injuries, and to overcome injuries and come back and shoot as well as he did at Des Moines is phenomenal. It's hard. The older you get, it's hard to overcome injuries. It's like, and he's not old, but I'm sorry, when you're 20, you recover from stuff like that. When you're 30, not so much. When you're 40, and he's getting up there. So proud of him for that. I'm extremely proud of what he's doing with his academy. Not as a performer, what's the technical name for it? The Paul Ulibarri
leadership something.
The leadership. Yeah, I'm so sorry, and I apologize to Paul, because but he's doing a lot of great stuff with his coaching and his teaching, and it's really exciting with scholarships, and it's wonderful. I couldn't be happier I'm very happy for any of the players that transition away from touring. Not that he's not still a high-level player, but to transition into other roles that allow you to keep doing disc golf successfully for the rest of your life. I'm going to be proud of all of them. Big Germ, Nate Sexton, like players like that, hats off to them. That's what everybody should be striving to do. Because if you don't do that, you finish the tour and you go back to doing something that's probably not what you want to do. And if you love disc golf, you got to figure out a way to keep doing disc golf, even if it's not as a touring player. And Paul's, knocking it out of the park.
That's it.
All right. So I love everybody. Happy birthday. If you want to buy stuff, go to scottstokely.net. And other than that, I'll be taking a test in the morning. Wish me luck. I still feel pretty good. I mean, like, I don't feel bad. Like, I feel strong, energetic, but I don't know. Fingers crossed. I hope.
And we're going to play doubles tomorrow. There's going to be
doubles
next day coverage of it.
Oh, there's next day coverage. Yeah, Danny Clyden, my doubles partner, my mixed doubles partner from California, Team Castoplast. Our team name is Cast the Past and Cast the Future. I think I'm Cast the Past. I think Danny's a Cast the Future. She's doing really well. She just cashed at the last tournament on the DGPT, so she's playing very high level golf, and so it's looking really good. I think our chances are
solid.
They're solid. They're solid. We can do it.
I thank everybody for the birthday.
All right. Thank everybody for the birthday wishes. Love y'all. Bye.